Are your emails landing in the promotions tab, or even worse, ending up in spam? You're not alone. Poor deliverability is something that I see e-com brands struggle with very often, and it can quietly kill your email revenue without you even realizing. Now in this video, I'll show you guys exactly how to diagnose your deliverability issues, and I'll walk you through our proven step-by-step strategy that we use at our agency to help 7- and 8-figure brands get back into the inbox and boost open rates fast. So with that being said, let's get started. Okay, so first of all, what is deliverability? So pretty much deliverability is your ability to deliver emails successfully to the subscriber's primary inbox rather than spam or their promotions folders. So email service providers like Gmail, Yahoo, Outlook, they all have algorithms in place to keep track if people actually want to get your emails. So for example, if you're sending emails to say 10,000 people, but only 100 people open them, then for these email service providers, alarm bells will start ringing and they're going to stop serving your emails straight to the customer's inbox, and most likely they're either going to go to spam or the promotions tab. Now, ESPs want to be confident that your email is relevant for the audience that you're sending it to and that they're actually interested in receiving them. So good deliverability means that your emails go straight to the customer's main primary inbox. You get higher open rates, click rates, and more revenue. Average deliverability means that your emails go to the promotions tab, making it really hard for the subscriber to even see your email. And then bad deliverability means that your emails are going straight to spam, making it pretty much impossible for subscribers to see your emails. Now, what we want is to have good deliverability. We want every email to be sent straight to the customer's primary inbox, which gives us the highest chance of them opening and interacting with the emails, and in turn placing more orders through the emails. Now, deliverability is kind of like airport security. So think of your email like a passenger at the airport. So before it can get to the destination, which is the primary inbox, it has to go through security checks. So for example, if a passenger has no ID, now for emails that would be no SPF or DKIM, basically domain authentication, or they have a suspicious history like poor sender reputation, meaning that you sent 1,000 emails and no one opened them, or something shady's in the bag like spammy content, they'll get flagged and blocked from traveling, which basically means that they'll end up straight in spam. Now, a verified traveler goes straight to the inbox, but a suspicious traveler needs extra screening or could be denied boarding altogether, which means they could go to spam or the promotions. So in order to get straight to the inbox, you must pass all the checks, which is actually pretty easy to do. I see a lot of brands and a lot of email marketers overcomplicate deliverability, but it's actually very simple when you break it down. Now, here are some signs that you need to urgently improve your deliverability. So if your average open rates have dropped substantially or it's already below 20%, then you definitely need to take care of your deliverability. If your click rate has dropped, if your unsubscribe rates, spam complaint rates, or bounce rates have spiked, or if your email revenue has dropped, then it's very likely that your deliverability is very poor. So the sooner you actually realize, the faster the recovery tends to be. Now, if you got bad deliverability and you don't do anything about it, the problem tends to snowball and it gets worse and worse, and it gets harder and harder to fix as time goes on. So I always recommend checking Klaviyo's deliverability tab at least once a month to monitor your sender reputation. Now, deliverability is not one-dimensional. There are 5 key areas that can affect your deliverability, and that is assuming that you've done all the initial account setup correctly. So the rest of these steps are all assuming that you've got all of the setup like DMARC, sender domain, all those things set up correctly. If you don't know how to do them, I'll link below a Klaviyo setup guide, which just makes sure that all your setup is correct. So once those things are set up correctly, then these are the key areas that affect your deliverability. It's your open rate, your click rate, your bounce rate, your unsubscribe rate, and your spam complaint rate. And all 5 of these things have a direct impact on your deliverability score. So if you have a look at this brand, for example, their open rate is actually quite good. It's around 38%, but their spam complaint rate is really bad. It's 0.6%, which is 6 times more than what it should be. It should really be 0.1% or less. So as you can see for this brand, their deliverability score is only 53. We actually aim for 85 and above for all of our clients. And you can see this score for your own brand if you click the deliverability tab on the left of your Klaviyo dashboard. So with that being said, if you've noticed that your deliverability is low, then this is how we fix it. So again, this is assuming that you've done all your account setup correctly, like your DMARC, sender domain, and all those things. As mentioned, I'm not going to go through those things in this video. This is assuming that you've set up your Klaviyo account correctly. So the first step is that we want to clean up your bounces. So what I mean by this is anyone that has bounced, say, more than 4 times in the last 90 days, we want to suppress those users. So what we do is we create a segment on Klaviyo and we call it soft bounces. And what we do is we select what someone has or has not done. Bounce email is at least 4 times in the last 90 days. So that's step 1. And then we click the and button, and then we select if someone can or cannot receive marketing, person can receive email marketing. And that's it for this segment. So once you've created this segment, suppress everyone in that segment. The next thing that we want to do is we want to check our unsubscribe link. Now, we want to make sure that our unsubscribe link is easy to find and it's easy to read. So this is the link that's at the bottom of pretty much every email that you send out. And as I just mentioned, you want to make sure it's easy to find. Now, that might sound counterintuitive. Why are we making it easy to find? That'll just mean that more people click that button. But what tends to happen is that if people can't find your unsubscribe link easily, then they're just going to report you as spam, which ends up being way worse for your deliverability and your sender reputation. So you want to make sure your unsubscribe link is the same font size as your surrounding text, easy to find within the sentence, and it's easy to read and it meets accessibility standards. So here's an example of a good one where the unsubscribe button is right at the end of the sentence, which is perfect because it's easy to find. It's underlined and it's in a bright blue color, which is very easy to differentiate. And here's an example of a bad one. You can't really read the text properly. It's really hard to find the button. And basically, if someone wants to unsubscribe and they can't find the button, they're just going to report you as spam. Now, once you've sorted out your unsubscribe link and you've suppressed all your bounces, then we start with our proper deliverability plan. Now, this plan usually takes between 6 to 9 weeks to complete, but even within the first month, you notice a substantial improvement in your deliverability. So this is what we do in week 1. So first of all, we don't send any campaigns. We actually don't send campaigns for the first 2 weeks. So pause sending campaigns and switch off all your flows. The only flows that you want to keep live are your welcome series, your abandoned checkout and abandoned cart, and your post-purchase flow. And even within the post-purchase flow, you only want to have your thank you email and reviews email live. If you have any cross-selling or any upselling that you do in post-purchase flow, switch those specific emails off and just have the thank you and reviews email live. The reason that we do this is that these are the highest engagement emails on your entire Klaviyo account. And for the first week, we only want to be sending emails that get the highest engagement because this has the highest likelihood of making our email service providers happy that you're sending emails to people that actually open them and actually engage. So what you want to do is you want to keep these flows on, switch off all your other flows, and only move to the next step if you get a minimum open rate of 40%. I've also got some other benchmarks here that you want to aim for, but as long as you're getting a 40% open rate and a 2.5% click rate on every email within those flows, within that first week, you should be sweet to move to that next step. And this is what the next steps look like. So I've actually laid out the entire plan for the first 6 weeks for all the flows. This is what we want to do. So week 1, as mentioned, we're going to have just those checkout, abandonment, post-purchase flows email. We already know that. I've just gone through it. Week 2, if you get these benchmarks of 40% open rate and 2.5% click rate, then we can switch on our browse abandonment and site abandonment flows. Then it's the same story that by the end of the second week, as long as you're getting 40% open rate and a 2.5% click rate, you can then switch on the next flows, which is going to be your cross-sell, upsell emails within your post-purchase flow. And then by week 6, you can switch on your customer win-back flow and sunset unengaged. Now, only move forward to the next step if you are getting these benchmarks of 40% open rate and 2.5% click rate. If you're not getting these metrics on those flows, then wait another week, or basically just wait until you get those metrics until you can move forward. For most brands, this is kind of what it looks like, but even if you need to wait an extra week before you switch on the next flow or an extra 2 weeks, just wait because you'd much rather do it correctly once than have to go back and do it all over again. Now, as I mentioned, do not send any campaigns for the first 2 weeks. After the first 2 weeks are completed and you're happy with these benchmarks, then start sending campaigns. Now I'm going to go through what we do with our campaigns after the first 2 weeks are completed successfully. What we do is we start sending campaigns, and we want to start sending campaigns to a highly engaged audience. So we actually create a segment for 15 days engaged. So these are going to be your most engaged subscribers on your Klaviyo account. You'll also want to create other segments for later, which are going to be your 30 days engaged, your 60 days engaged, and 90 days engaged. So this is how we create the segment on Klaviyo. Now I'm not going to go through every single one of these steps. Just pause it here or take a screenshot and just use these exact filters. The only thing that you'll need to change is for the 15 days engaged, of course, change it to 15 days. For 60 days, change to 60 days, and so on. So you just want to create all 4 segments so you have them ready, and then we start sending campaigns. So when we start sending emails, you want to make sure you're sending at least 2 email campaigns per week, because again, for email service providers, they want to see consistency and engagement. So you need to send at least 2 email campaigns a week, but you can even send 3, and you want to start by only sending to the 15 days engaged segment. So I've shared this warming up plan of exactly what you want to do. So the first campaign that you send, you only want to make sure you send it to the 15 days engaged audience, and you want to do this for 2 weeks. If we're sending 2 campaigns per week, and by the 4th campaign, we should get at least a 40% open rate. And if you do get a 40% open rate, then you can increase the segment to a 30 days engaged segment, and then you only want to send campaigns for 30 days for another 2 weeks. And then again, if you get a 40% open rate, then you increase it to 60 days and so on until you get to 90 days. Now, this is pretty straightforward. If your open rates are over 40%, you want to expand your audience to the next engagement tier. If your open rates drop below 40%, then stick with your current audience for the next campaign. And if it still doesn't recover, then you want to reduce your audience to the previous and more engaged segment for the next campaign. So it's pretty straightforward. This is a basic structure, but you might need to move back and forth based on how your metrics perform. And here are some tips for success. So when scheduling the emails for the first few weeks, you can actually leverage Klaviyo's gradual sending feature, which spreads campaign volume over several hours. So instead of having a sudden spike of sending an email to say 2,000 people, then what we can do is actually choose to gradually send it over several hours, which tends to be much better for deliverability purposes because you're spreading that out over a longer period of time. Now, it goes without saying that you want to make sure that the emails are designed well and are actually interesting emails, and consistent campaign volume is key to a successful strategy. You need to be sending at least 2 emails a week to show consistent campaign sending volume, and you also want to refer to Klaviyo's Deliverability tab to monitor the performance each month. Now, one big thing is each consecutive send should be no larger than 2 times the previous send. Now, for example, if the 15 days engaged audience is only 2,500 people, then we want to make sure that when we send the 30 days engaged audience, it shouldn't be more than 5,000 users. So this target volume that I've shared is just an example. You'll probably have completely different numbers for your own brand, but you want to make sure that when you increase your engagement level and you increase your audience size, you don't go more than double. So for an example, if the 30 days engaged segment was actually 6,000, then I would only send it to a maximum of 5,000 users. And for those extra 1,000 users, I would just ignore them and not even email them at all. Now, lastly, you want to keep in mind that it typically takes between 24 to 48 hours for campaign email metrics to fully mature. So if you send an email and you look at it 12 hours later, that data is not going to be accurate. So just be patient and wait at least 1 to 2 days before making a decision if your campaign was successful or not. So that's actually it. So if you follow this plan systematically, you can really improve your deliverability very, very quickly. Now, if you have any other questions or you want to speak with me directly about your email deliverability, feel free to book in a call using that first link in the description below. And I'll also share this entire guide in the description below so you can follow it step by step and you won't run into any problems. So yeah, with that being said, thank you so much for making it this far. I really appreciate your time. I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.